welcome back. Okay, so this is the story of the time that I did a ride-along with a fire department. It was so fun and exciting, a bit traumatic in some ways, but I wouldn't change a thing. So how this started was I was an event manager at a convention center, and they had us kind of choose different areas of the convention center that we could sort of take some ownership on, learn about, oversee. Partly I think it was just to get us to do more work and not pay us for it, but I ended up learning a lot, making some good friends, and it was a good experience for me. So I chose to work as the fire department liaison, and we worked with the fire department all the time, the fire marshal, because to do a large event, you have to have the plans for the layout of the event approved. The plans come in these huge sheets of paper, and the fire marshal looks at them and says if they're good to go or if there needs to be corrections. They're looking for, emergency exits, the aisles to be wide enough, that kind of thing. So we worked with them a lot. And then, on the day of the show, they always were there with us to open the show to make sure everything was set up properly and there was no, hazards that they could tell. And so, we were always together and in constant communication. So it was a perfect chance for me to learn what they did and what I did and, work together. So I chose them. It really had nothing to do with the fact that I personally think the fire department, firefighters are heroes. They rush in when others rush out. It has no, bearing on the fact that a firefighter could carry me out of a burning building or carry me anywhere. Nothing like that. No. So anyway, I decide this is the one I want to do. I go to my boss. Great. I go to the fire marshal. I get their permission. And the next thing I decide is the best thing for me to do is to learn what they do. And so I asked for a ride along. And seeing as we worked for the same city, it was pretty easy to go through and get approved. So I'm told to prepare for a very quiet night, that you'll probably just sit there, maybe have spaghetti dinner and watch movies. And I thought, okay, that sounds good to me. Having spaghetti with a bunch of firefighters and watching a movie. Okay, sign me up. So I go, really nervous, excited, not knowing what to expect. I get there, meet everybody. They start showing me around. It is so exciting, right? And they say, hey, why don't we put you up on the lift of the fire truck? And I was like, okay. I was very nervous, and they put me in this basket thing. And of course, a firefighter accompanied me because, that's what they do. So they raised us up really, really high, and I was freaking out. I was so scared, so nervous to be so high in this lift. So they brought me down. We, start hanging out, talking, whatever. And all of a sudden, a major earthquake happens. It was so scary. I had been in many earthquakes, and you just don't know when they're going to stop. I think that's the fear, or that the building is going to collapse on you is another fear. So the earthquake stops, and apparently I didn't know this, and I'm not sure if this is true in all cities, but this city, we had to get into the fire truck, and they had a certain route, and they had to go check every area of the city that was in their route to make sure buildings were still standing, that nothing seemed out of the ordinary after an earthquake. So that's what we did. We got in the fire truck. I got to wear a hat, and I got to wear the head thing so we could all communicate. It was so exciting. The sirens were on, and we just drove around this city. Super exciting. Okay, so then we go back to the firehouse, ready for a quiet evening, and we get another call, and it is for a domestic violence call. So we show up, and of course the police are there too, and I know there's this thing between police and firemen. I'm not going to say my, maybe preference or whatever, but I love them too. I mean, they definitely risk their lives every day too, and are heroes. So they show up, and we show up, and everything is investigated, and that guy, actually that prick, gets arrested, and the woman is attended to and taken into the hospital. It was super sad. I don't even know what to say. I am very opinionated on this matter. But that's for another time, right? Okay, so we finish with that call. We get back, we have some dinner, we sit down in these chairs, and we're about to watch a movie, and we get this call. And this call, I don't want to say it changed my life, but it really impacted me, and it still is with me today. This young woman decided that she was done. And so she went on the top of the parking structure at Disneyland and decided she was going to jump. And so they called us, and we went. And she hadn't jumped. I mean, she was planning on it. She was sitting on the edge, well, actually crouching at the edge, and just crying and rocking. And it was awful. And it was so sad to see this person, this young woman, this human, so distraught and so sad. And so, of course, we had to stay back. They had people there to talk to her, to try and convince her to not make this decision and to come down. So it took a long time. We were there for a long time. I was really scared. I was scared for so many reasons. I mean, I had heard what to expect if she fell, and it sounded horrible and horrific and disturbing, and I just could not bear that for somebody else, and I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want that for any of these people. I was really, really scared about what was going to happen any minute. The adrenaline was pumping. So we waited around, and finally they were able to talk her down. I was so relieved. It was such a relief to see her off that edge and that ledge, and that any second now it could just turn into a major disaster. So they walked her down, and there was, of course, like a gurney from a ambulance, and they put her on it. And, she looked over at me, and I was kind of standing to the side, but she looked at me, and she said, "Can I hold your hand?" And I even say that now, and I have like chilly bumps everywhere. I'm about to cry. And, of course, I said, yes. I looked at the firemen that were there, kind of like, almost like, is that okay? Am I allowed to do that? I mean, I didn't know my place. This just seems such a horrible situation. And they're like, yes, do that. So I go and I hold this girl's hand, and they're finishing everything up. And she asked if I could go in the ambulance with her. I look again, and they're like, yeah, you can. So I get in the ambulance with this girl. She's in there, and I get to hold her hand and talk to her, and she gets to talk to me. And I just don't know what to say. I had never been trained. I've never been in this situation, and I was scared I would say the wrong thing. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to be there for her. I wanted her to be okay. And we did. We just talked. And, I just told her that I was so thankful that I got to be there with her and got to meet her, and that, I was there for her, and to, tell me anything she wanted. And we rode to the hospital together, hand in hand. We got to the hospital, and I remember walking down the hall. They're pushing her, and I'm holding her hand, just looking at her, and she's crying. She's just crying. And I'm telling her, you know what? You're going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I know it. I can feel it. You're going to be okay. And then, we get to the end, and they won't let me go any further. Sorry, I just feel so. And so they say, no, I can't go. So we say a quick goodbye. I thank her for letting me be a part of her life, and that I was so grateful. And we said our goodbyes. And I never really got to hear too much more. I heard that, they released her. And, it was, it stayed with me. And it still stayed with me. I mean, I still and I hope and pray that that young lady is an older woman now, happy. I hope she's doing well. So, I just want to say, if you ever have these thoughts, please reach out to someone. I know you might not feel it at that moment, but there will be people who are going to be devastated by your loss. I have now, since then, had people that I've known who have taken their own life, and the devastation that it leaves behind. You might not think you're going to be missed or needed, but you are. I have seen it, and people are sad and miserable because they've lost you. And so I'm going to put in my comments the hotline number, in case you ever need to call, okay? But back to my story, so I went back to the fire station, and, I was on like an adrenaline high. I was exhausted, but excited. Excited is not like happy excited, but just like my body was just like shaking. It was just so crazy. It was such a crazy, unbelievable experience. And we said our goodbyes, and it was a very sad, exciting, crazy adventure of mine that I would never change. So again, if you ever need to reach out, please do. You could always comment on mine if you've, had this experience. How did you get out of it? How were you helped? Just reach out. But thank you for watching. Thank you for being on this ride with me. Keep it up. If you haven't seen the other videos, watch them. Tell me what you think, comment, like, share. Oh, and of course, please subscribe. Okay, thanks.